Hey guys, what's up? It's Finchinator. This is going to be a bit of a kind of just a tangent rant video. There's going to be a random battle in the background if you guys really care, but we're going to be talking about terastallization and Scarlet and Violet overused and just where we're at, what the hell's going on. I'm confused, you're confused, the next guy's confused. We're all a little on edge lately. So let's talk about it, why, what's going on. So terastallization, it's just a really crazy, convoluted conversation right now. A lot of people don't want it touched because it's this brand new spanking toy and it adds some strategic merit intrinsically to the game, and that is true. And a lot of people want it banned completely because there are some aspects of it that aren't competitive and don't necessarily make the game a state where the better player is more likely to win, and make it so that a specific sequence here or there might dictate a lot of the game, and that is also true. And then a lot of people, such as myself, want to keep it in the tier, but maybe restrict it a little bit, and there's also merit to that solution as well. And therefore, we find ourselves in this position where we got one camp, I don't want to touch it, we got one camp, I want to restrict it, and we got one camp, I need this banned right the hell now, and it doesn't really work when all of those camps exist at the same time, because they all embody very different eventual realities. And it's just like, what the hell are we going to do? What the hell are we going to do? Are we accepting this as our new status quo? Are we adopting the prospect of terastallization in every which way and form as just the new metagame? Is that something we're okay with? I don't think so. But are we wanting to ban this brand spanking new mechanic that is offering some competitive merit as well? It's just, I don't think so either. Like, what the hell are we doing? What are we doing? I don't know, and I lead the tier. So it's just like, man, I gotta get a grip. But I don't think anyone really has a grip. There are people that are strong in their convictions. Sure. There are people that have their own novel ideas. Sure. But no one really knows for sure what's going to happen. Like, by this time last generation, there was pretty much a near universal consensus that Dynamaxing had to go. It was ridiculously broken. Or in generation before, there was a strong consensus that Z moves weren't a problem, or Megas as a whole we can handle on a case-by-case basis, and a lot of them weren't going to be broken. In Generation 5, it was a bit more complicated, because the concept of permanent weather was introduced, and that concept proved, while problematic, also to add some intrinsic value to the metagame. Kind of in the same way that we can describe terastallization. But there was also some uncompetitive stuff. And then ultimately something called Aldron's proposal happened, which created a complex ban of Drizzle plus Swift Swim, which set the entire metagame into pandemonium and made it one of the most infamous tiering decisions and sequences of tiering decisions. And the way that generation was handled, while this is one of my favorite metagames of all time, was clearly suboptimal and has grown horribly. And we don't want that. But in the same light, we don't want a metagame that has something that's broken roaming free. Like Black and White with Drizzle plus Swift Swim was broken. Ultimately, the play should have just been to ban Swift Swim or to ban Drizzle, but neither of those happened because we were in the early days of competitive Pokemon tiering at all, because during generations 1 through 3, there wasn't really much tiering to be discussed. Smogon didn't really exist till 2004, and it didn't really have strong tiering discussions for another couple years after that, and this was like 2010. And now we're in 2022, and we're running into the next great divide, the next great metagame-defining decision that will stick with us, not just for the next couple of months, not just for the next couple of years this generation, not even necessarily for the next 2 generations, but for the rest of competitive Pokemon history. What are we going to do? Why are we going to do it? And I am tasked with coming to a large amount of this process. Not necessarily the decision itself, but the process. I'm tasked with framing the suspect, with getting the community input, with letting my own informed opinion maybe potentially impact those of others. And that is a large responsibility. That is something that I'm honored to play a part in. But at the same time, in the same light, it's also scary. It also leaves me to wonder, am I making the right decision if I go one way or another way? You know, it means that you got to really tread with caution, and I don't have a consensus. I don't have a singular opinion. My whole opinion on it right now is that we're in a metagame where there's no way to actually cover everything, but a lot of the things you couldn't even dream of covering just because they go from one type to another type, or they get a double boost on a single typing, and so on and so forth. And I feel like there's got to be some way that that dynamic can change. And then your first instinct is like, okay, well, we normally go about it by banning Pokemon. Is that something we'd be able to do to stop this? And then you're like, okay, if I ban the 3 most broken abusers, then there's just going to be another top 3 Pokemon that could potentially be just as broken. We waste 5 months doing a couple of bans and another couple months banning another bans, and then suddenly we've wasted half the generation, and we still end up with the same problem in just a decreased metagame and things that we're going to have to unban if we do anything else. So right off the bat, that's like not a desirable solution. You don't want to just take the top off of something when there's a problem in the core of it, you know? And I can't, in good faith, suggest that as a solution and just sit tight. But at the same time, you could say, okay, we're just going to accept that it's a different way of playing the game, and we're going to live with that. But that, in my opinion, brings its own issue, its own problem, if you will, in that it's not a competitive metagame right now. Seeing a Dragonite set up in front of a Fairy type or an Ice type or a Dragon type because it turns to a Steel type is not fun. Seeing a Dragonite could be Revenge Killed, suddenly Extreme Speed is Arceus normal levels is not fun. I'm sorry, it's not. Because suddenly, that Dragonite goes from getting 0 to 1 kills to getting 3 or 4 kills, and by the time you finally figure out what it is and have the ability to stop it, you've already essentially lost your chance of winning the game, lost your position, despite outplaying it maybe the rest of the game. Or maybe you guessed right against that Dragonite, and suddenly the Dragonite user can't do crap, and they've wasted their Tera, but you still have your Tera, and suddenly you're in a huge advantage just because you got one turn right. And just putting this weight on these singular turns is just so crazy. It's so metagame defining as this Porygon just demolishes this guy. Poor Kagaswa Kagasiki. But it's just so ludicrous. And when I get to that point, and it doesn't just apply to Dragonite. That's the example I've been using a lot because it's straightforward and everyone knows Dragonite, but it applies to things like Espathra. It applies to things like King Gambit. It applies to things like Roaring Moon. It applies to so many other things. Hell, it applies to things that just lose one of their weaknesses through changing one of their stab types and then getting double as strong with adaptability. Every which way. And then you look at it, okay, but if we ban it outright, then suddenly we lose this new luster to the metagame. We lose this standout feature. We lose this thing that's drawing so many people to the game. Maybe these people don't necessarily understand the game at the same level we do, but maybe they have their own interesting new ideas that they can present, and they can make our metagame better and more fun, and they can add to our community, and that's so awesome. I love making new friends on here. That's what I've been around for. I'm not around just to comment on YouTube and make these rant videos. I'm not here to just lead you with an iron fist. I'm like friends. I have some of the people I have the most confidence in, I've talked to the most over the last 10 years of my life on Smogon. I have so many friends on here, from tournaments, from Pokemon Online days, from Smogon itself, from tuning discussions. All these people I've made friends with, and I'm so lucky to have it. And there are other people that might be trying to integrate themselves in the community, and then they see this and they don't want to play anymore. And knowing that a decision I could make would lead to that would make me sick to my stomach. But at the same time, knowing a decision that I could not make could end up impacting those people that I know that play the game in a negative fashion. It's like, it sucks. So ultimately, we've got to go back to our core values. And that would always involve focusing on what's most competitive in the metagame. And making the metagame, the most playable, competitive, enjoyable for those who actually understand it. That's why suspect tests are based on recs, rather than just based on, we're going to have every single person on PokeGame's Twitter or Freeze's Twitter do a vote. Obviously, those votes are fun to see, but, you get to a point where you can only do so much. You have to have people who can actually play the metagame and actually do play the metagame consistently decide the metagame, rather than people on the outside looking in, if you will. Moreover, as an extension of that, I've got Toxic Spikes plus Sublugia. This game is unfair beyond belief. As an extension of that, it gets really rough because you want to have a really fun, playable metagame, but at the same time, you can't always get that. And that stings. It really does sting. And ultimately, when it comes to priorities, we have to prioritize that competitive nature. We got to prioritize it over the potential for a fun metagame, because what's fun to me might not be fun to you. What's fun to X might not be fun to Y. You know, fun isn't something you can define, but you can universally define something that's competitive or something that's healthy. At least there's inherent qualities to it. There's a consistent nature to it. There's a way you can define it in context. Fun is more loose. Fun is more in the eye of the beholder, and that's where it gets really tough. That's where I'm a little disgruntled, because there's something here that's intrinsically fun to a lot of people, and drawing them to our game that I don't know if we're going to keep around in the same form. I really hope that we can keep it around in some form, though. And I think people have to realize that, like, we're not doing this to take away their fun. We're doing it to make our product the best possible product, because that's how it works. That's how it's fair to our player base. And our player base consists of casual players, but it also consists of hardcore players. It consists of tournament players and ladder players. It consists of people who just like playing with their favorite Pokemon, and it consists of people who like playing hard stall or hyper offense only. And, you know, it's a wide array of people. And last generation, we were fortunate enough to have a mechanic, or, well, not fortunate enough, but unfortunate enough to have a mechanic that was just wholly broken. You are good or bad at the game, you can see why this is just such a crazy mechanic. I'm sorry, but if you thought Dynamax should have stayed or been claused in some way, you do not know what you're talking about. If you played back then, you'll understand. It completely stonewalled how we played the game. It was ridiculous. I'm going to go back to Toxapex and get a second layer. No, I'm just going to... I did it. Screw it. I'm going to get a second layer Toxapex just for the fun of it, and then I'm going to try and solo this guy with the Lugia. The fact of the matter is that it's not always easy or linear. And we now have a position where, as I said before, I don't know if it's possible to find a metagame state that has terastallization in it that is healthy. I don't. I'm so sorry, but I do not. And I don't know if that's ever going to change. I don't. But in that same light, and this is going to... And people who are like, oh, I want to ban, are like rejoicing right now that I'm saying this, but people who want it banned outright are not going to like what I have to say either. And this is where it gets fun. I don't think banning it as a whole off the bat is the best solution either, because there are aspects of it that make it competitive, equal for both sides, and don't make the whole game a guessing game. There are aspects of it that have very much redeeming qualities. We're just getting stolen Ranbats. That's kind of funny. There are aspects of terastallization that clearly have more redeeming qualities than any aspects of something like Dynamax, for example. And we have to accept that and reckon with that and potentially make exception for that. We've got like a Veil team now. This is funny. We're getting like real... What the hell is this? Nah, we'll chew that. That does nothing. Which Specs Freeze Dry, it did 42. Is this Assault Vest Tentacruel? Nah, that ain't right. Anyway. I can't get behind an outright ban, the nuclear option either. I can't. I'm sorry. I can't. And I find it so baffling that people are ready to be dismissive of it as is. I don't think that that's the best competitive option either. I think that if we ban it, we might get to a competitive metagame the quickest, but we could, at the start of every generation, say, hey, we're going to ban the best 18 Pokemon, and then we're just going to work from there. And that's not how we work. No, we only ban things that need to be banned. We don't just ban things for the sake of taking shortcuts. That's not how it's ever worked. And anyone who proposes that is radicalized and silly, and this dude just fought it off his king. Like, goodbye. And we can't do that. We can't stiff our status quo to just banning for the sake of banning either. Because that's just going to make this not competitive Pokemon. That's just going to make it like competitive Fragment Mons. And that's no fun either, guys. So then we get all these options and all these ways of potentially restricting it, potentially solving it. And I like a lot of them, but there are some of them... He didn't kill me. I'm going to kill him again. I'm going to get 3 kills with the Sigil. Or, that's funny. I'm just getting all the brokens. And we end up in a spot. We get back to what I'm saying. Where, what the hell is the perfect solution? I don't know. This is such BS. It's Ranbats, dude. Yo. I'm just gonna click the nasty button here. I'm just gonna win with my next ice tap. That's what I'm gonna do. It's tough because we really want to preserve it, and some people really want to ban it. And those two camps, you know, they make up a lot of my friends on both sides. And then you look at the options in the middle, and none of them are perfect either. You could say, oh, let's show the type at team preview, but then there are still 6 Pokemon I could do it. That still leaves the mind game, the guesswork aspect of it. Even if you have, oh, I know what my counter to X or Y if it comes to type is, you still have to deal with, twice as much of Pokemon, essentially, with the 2 typings defensively, coupled with the fact that they can happen at any time, and they can bluff it. It doesn't eliminate the guesswork nature of it. And you can say, okay, maybe you could limit it only to stabs. Sure, that does make it so that you know what you're getting, and it's just going to be a little stronger at one point in the game, but that's only an offensive boost, coupled with the fact that still makes some things unreasonably strong. Then you could argue, oh, that might be a scenario where you could ban things, and it would be okay to justify. And I'm like, yeah, maybe, but is that really within the spirit of mechanic? Do we care about the spirit of mechanic when the mechanic is designed for more doubles formats and official formats? I don't know. These are questions we've never had to answer. We've never been in this position before. And it's like, well, shit, what else? Well, we could limit it to 1 Pokemon per team, and then you know which one it is. A quote-unquote captain, if you will, of the terrestrialization. And I guess, but then you still have all the guesswork of when that Pokemon's going to do it. And you have the fact that it's kind of going against the spirit of it, and it's just hand-holding the metagame together through a gentleman's agreement, which I guess that's replicable on the cartridge, but are we really playing fully fledged Pokemon with this or any of the other restrictions? Are we? Do we know? Is there really a way of dictating this? I don't know. I'm gonna go with this before I go. I got all the brokens. This is so funny. I'm just gonna build them here. So every single option has a noteworthy con, and yeah, some do have really big pros. All of them have pros. Not banning anything. Well, suddenly that gives us a metagame that is really fun and attractive for a lot of people, but it's not competitive. Banning it outright, suddenly we have a metagame that's going to get quickly to being competitive, but we lost the luster, the spark for a lot of people. And it's tough. I'm just going to knock this guy out with that. Yep, +6 max strike. And then these restrictions, who is actually still going to want to play and understand a rule set if we were to do a restriction? And is this still, staying true to the game? Is there some moral objections to that? Oh my god, he's challenging again. Screw it, I'll play him again. That's fine. Alright, man. I'll best it to you. Let's get that deal of bro. Oh, we're bro offing now. Bro. Oh man, he's got Combine. Forget about it. We've lost. Bro. Oh, this is one of those. On the light screen here. That's fine. This is such a weird interaction. I can't really switch into this, can I? I'm gonna go. That's fine. Anyway, we get to that point where there's just no right or wrong answers wholly, but everything's on a spectrum. Everything's kind of limited to what we want and our inherent biases, and it's kind of eluded. Do we really know what's right or wrong for this metagame? Does anyone? I'm the tier leader, and I'm not there. I don't know. I'm sorry. Maybe it's my job to be the guy who figures it out. Oh, thank you. This guy thinks I know my shit. That's cool. But man, it's a bummer because we're at this point now, and we're gonna give it more time. We're gonna give it another week or two at least, if not 2 or 3 weeks. We gotta figure this out. But we don't know. I don't have the answers. You don't have the answers. Does anyone have the freaking answers? Does anyone have the answer key? Because I'm sorry, but I don't. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. My gut tells me that one day Terastallization is going to get banned from competitive Pokemon. We've already seen it banned from Monotype and National Dex Monotype and a bunch of other formats like that. So is that just a sign of what's to come in our formats? Or are those just niche formats and we're making the real decision that everyone's going to follow us? Is this a decision I'm going to make? What's the community going to say to the survey? Because there is going to be a tiering survey, by the way, very soon on Terastallization and Pokemon and metagame and so on and so forth. And it's tough. I don't know. Guts, dude. This guy's so, I love this dude. I need Yasin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I need just a whole channel watcher full of those. I just need these guys to come and click my videos and comment. It's so wholesome. It's funny. And it's tough because we don't really know what to do or expect at this point. I'm just gonna attack. If he kills me, he kills me. I don't. It's fine. But anyway, I'm probably getting close to wrapping up this video. I've kind of explained every single option and the pros of them and the cons of them and why we're so twisted, why we're not close to a consensus yet. And again, I don't know. Do you know? I don't know. And it's tough because we all want what's best for this metagame. And we all want to have fun and play competitively. But where does Tera sit? A mechanic that's oriented for doubles, that has some clearly unbalanced features, that doesn't have a clean way to restrict, and a ban of it seems like a totalitarian act of bad faith right now. Where do we end up? What is to come of this? I don't know. So we're going to have to work together as a community and figure it out. That's the beauty of it. We're gonna go together, and we're gonna do these surveys, and we're gonna talk in the threads on Smogon, and we're gonna talk in the YouTube comment section and on Twitter where I've been popping off lately, and we're gonna make the best decision for our community. And I can't promise you it's gonna come easy, and I can't promise you it's gonna happen the first time either. It might take 2 or 3 suspects. I'm willing to do a second suspect after the first one. I'm willing to look back and say, hey, we made a mistake, it shouldn't be banned this much. Or, hey, we made a mistake, it's got to be banned more. Or maybe we weren't there yet. You know, maybe the home release has changed something, you know. I'm willing to work to revise. And I'm willing to work with our community to make the best end game possible. But we have to accept that no matter what decision I make or the community makes, it's not going to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. There are always going to be people upset. I could do any one of the possible decisions right now, and someone would always be angry. You want proof of that? If I banned Tera right now, a lot of the Smogon players would be happy it's out of the way because it does have a lot of uncompetitive aspects to it. But a lot of the casual players and the people who really want to see how it develops would be like, you just shortchanged us. We wanted to see what this was going to be this generation. If I didn't ban it, it'd be vice versa. Those players would be like, great, let's keep this up. I'm having fun. Let's have some more fun. But a lot of the more competitively oriented players might be upset. They might not be sure if that was the best. He's gonna predict this Lazzle here. Watch. Oh, he dodged. I dodged. I think I lived anyway, but we'll take it. We'll take it for sure. That's tragic for my guy. That's tragic. I'm gonna tire up. That does negative damage. And if I do anything in between, it might leave both parties upset. Or what we do in between might tick off a specific group of people here or there. You know, there's no way everyone's gonna be happy. So for the longest time, my job as cheerleader was always just to do what is best for the metagame around me. It was always just to find the competitive situation and dictate it. And now we've got this polarizing core mechanic that, yeah, the competitive, finding the most competitive solution triumphs all, but we don't want to overban either. You know, what are our options? And I don't know. So I guess we're going to play this guy one more time, you know, and I'll go ahead. I'll bang my head against the wall a couple times and I'll figure it out. But it's tough. It's really tough. I've been stressing out over it, you know, even during my real life time. And I think I've got a better idea now than I did a week ago, but hopefully in a week I'll have a better idea. You know, I feel like I've made a lot of progress last week. And at least limiting down the solutions. And that's what we need to do for a survey. And I think the survey is going to give me some clarity. So, you know, in a couple of days, there'll be a survey on Smogon, for those of you that didn't hear. That's going to basically list all of our options. And then some. And then, you know, respond to it, especially if you're high on the ladder, you're still in the release tournament, things like that. And it'll be good. It'll be good. Then we'll have data, and we can work from data. So, yeah. Rant, scattered video. Screw it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe. What do you think? All right. Bye.